The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 1717 700. Talking Scottish football first.
With the title race right back in focus for all of us as we go into this Easter weekend. Good evening, this is Paul Cooney here on the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King in the company of the Celtic and Scotland legend Peter Grant. Evening, Peter.
Evening, Paul. How are you?
Good. You brought the sunshine with us here today.
Oh, I love the sunshine. Love the sunshine. Nice nights when it's lighter.
Great to be back, isn't it? You enjoy that?
Yeah. Best time of the year.
Well, who wouldn't?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody looks forward to the late nights here.
Indeed. And Mark, this time next week you'll be in the sunshine with Spain and you're going to hook up with Davy Provan, our old teammate of many years. But before that, what's going to happen in the title race? Good evening, Mark. Good to have you back in.
Good, Paul. Great to be here. International football's over, the friendlies, and we're right down to it now. No messing about. Business end of the season. 7 games to go. What a great fixture list we've got this weekend in the Premiership and in the Championship as well.
We sure have. What can we tell you tonight that you didn't know this time last week? Well, everyone's talking about the split coming up. I see quite a few of the papers online are saying, oh, it's going to be... Well, everyone knows it's going to be exciting. How's it going to pan out? Mark, you've always got a great insight. When is the Celtic Rangers going to be, in your estimation, and a bit of knowledge? When do you reckon it's going to fall?
I would imagine, Paul, it'll be game 3, which would fall either May the 9th or May the 10th. Okay. It can't be game 4. That's a midweek game. It can't be the last day of the season. They would never do that. And the first game of the season, first game of the split, does you got enough time for the policing, etc., etc. So game 3, it's looking like it'll fall. Hearts may well have an Edinburgh derby to open up with after the split. But whatever the fixtures are, Paul, it's great drama. It's box office, and we're right into it. What a position we're in. 3 teams going for the title with 7 games to go.
And you would imagine, Peter, it would be on the Sunday. You would think.
Well, it usually is, Paul. We don't know the reason why they keep putting it to a Sunday, because the Saturday was the best day for a fixture. Sure. Everybody enjoyed it. They'd finished their work on their Friday and you were looking forward to that match. And then whatever it's going to be, Paul, it's going to get right down to the wire. But up until then, it's going to be so important. As I said last week, I don't think Celtic have got much wiggle room at all. And it'll be interesting to see how the fixtures go this weekend, because that will go a long way again to where the title is going to go, because obviously Rangers are playing first. Then Hearts are not playing to the next day, as are Celtic. So that's going to be an interesting one. It could be the first time that Rangers go top.
Exactly, and what effect that could have on them and also Hearts. Peter, you've talked for a long time about the pressure, because they've never been in this territory, for 40 years since they nearly did it. And I wonder how it affects you then when you lose a position you've had since, last October?
Oh, I'm sure it'll be massive, because the bottom line is, Paul, I don't care what anybody says, if you're the second game on, and Hearts have proven it this season, they've played twice after Celtic and Rangers. On both occasions they lost to Rangers, and they lost the other game when Celtic beat Kilmarnock. So it's going to be interesting to see they're that middle one. Rangers have played, Rangers will go top. How are they going to respond? And more so, how's their fans going to respond if Rangers do win and Hearts are struggling on at Livingston a little bit later in the game, because that's when the nerves kick in from the fans more than the players.
And Mark, looking at this weekend for Rangers, I think it's 2 years since they've been top of the table, and they could well be at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, there's no greater incentive, Paul, than to go top of the table. Albeit it might just be for less than 24 hours, but still, you just go and put it on Hearts' shoulders. You go and say to Derek McKinnon's players, okay, we've done our bit. Can you guys do it? He's up to it. He's really going to be champions, because we've thrown down the gauntlet, and that's a hell of a stat as well, Paul. So that was Philippe Clement 2 years ago when they actually had it in their own hands, and they blew it away at Ross County and away at Dundee, back-to-back games. So for Rangers, considering where they were when Danny Rule took over, it would be a fantastic achievement for them. And look, if they can't do it on Saturday, put that pressure on. Then if they don't win, then it's unlikely they'll become champions.
And for Celtic, Declan's been on already. 0808 17 17 700. Declan been on from City Centre, goes to all the games, and he says, Peter, this Sunday he wants to know, are Celtic going to do it? He's in straight away. He goes everywhere. He was in Stuttgart a few weeks ago. He's worried about what's going to happen back in Dundee.
Well, the thing I said to you, Paul, Dundee are one of the best teams that's played at Celtic Park, and I can honestly say the performance they had, I think it was Brendan Rodgers maybe last game, and I thought they terrorised Celtic that day at Dens Park. They were excellent and thoroughly deserved to win the game. I think it was 2-0, And it's not an easy game, that's for sure. I mean, you're looking at the fixtures over the weekend. I'd rather be in Rangers and Hearts' shoes going into the weekend than the Celtic game, because I think Dundee's a very, very difficult game.
It's a good pitch now, isn't it? It's remarkable. The chief groundsman, as you know, last summer went from Tannadice to Dens Park, and the whole thing's reversed, because we all know that ground was a quagmire 2 years ago.
Of course. Yeah. And Dens was always a good pitch. I always enjoyed playing it, as Tannadice was. But listen, I think when you lose games, you can't make excuses about the pitch. The pitch was awful. There's no getting away from that. It shouldn't be allowed. But you can't make excuses for the performance. We've got to take that in the chin and say you've got to win games wherever you go. And teams have done it all season, so we can't give Celtic an excuse for that. Hopefully they can make up with a fantastic performance in Dens and getting 3 points at the weekend.
And Peter, if you're going to win a title, then you have to win at Dens. And if you can't do it, well, do you deserve to be champions?
Absolutely not, because you can't lose as many games as Celtic have, you know. And
that would be 9.
Absolutely. Yeah. And listen, we don't know how Celtic will know every other result, so there's a different pressure that comes with that as well. I'll tell you now, I fancy all 3 teams to win this weekend again. Yeah. You know, I really do. But you'll have to perform exceptionally well against Dundee. I don't think Celtic have performed exceptionally well in any game this season. You know, they've never really put in, they've had great results at certain times, but they've never put a performance in you come away, wow. And still the biggest sticking point for me is, if Nygren doesn't score, you're hoping Celtic score more than they're going to score. And it used to always be the case, not matter what Celtic team it was, they were always going to score goals. I'm not so sure if Nygren's not playing.
Mark, let's go to it for you. Do you think all 3 are going to win this weekend? We'll talk Rangers in a second or two, the psychology if they go top. And for Celtic as well, though, if Celtic win Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, puts pressure on them. You've got Martin O'Neill back in there. They've had a break for, a week and a half. Yeah. Some of them on international duty, but Nygren will be back. He'll be buzzing because he's off to the World Cup.
Of course, you know, helped Sweden get that fantastic result, 3-2 against Poland. Look at, I mean, out of the 3 games, I would say Rangers have got the fixture that you would choose at home to Dundee United, playing first in front of 50,000 of your own fans. What's not to like about that? For Hearts and Celtic, you're on the road. I know it's an old cliche, but it's very, very true. There's no easy games on the road. And I said on Tuesday night, I actually think the most difficult out of the 3 is Hearts going to Livingston. I know Peter doesn't agree with that. Livingston are isolated at the bottom, but just going to that AstroTurf first up, when you're probably expecting Rangers to be top, I think it's a big one for Hearts. Of course, it's difficult for Celtic. They've been on Tayside 3 times already this season. Paul, 0 points. Wow. Out of 9 on Tayside. The last time they went to Dens, of course, was a whole tennis ball thing again with the fans, which didn't do any favours. But you could see it was in decline under Brendan Rodgers at that point. Martin O'Neill Celtic beat Dundee in the Scottish Cup a couple of months ago, but it was a real toil. Dundee ahead right up until stoppage time. So look, they're all difficult games. There's no doubt about that. But Sunday's a massive double header, both games on the telly back to back.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
We look at the points totals as well, and what are you thinking? I'm thinking Celtic to be champions, to retain the title, they might get away with 6 wins and a draw. They might need to win all 7, probably need to win all 7, but you might get away with 6 wins and a draw. For Hearts, very much in the driving seat, and for Rangers, you know, they're obviously looking at beating Hearts at Tynecastle when that game comes around, and avoiding defeat at Celtic Park. So it's all in the mix. But what you'd see is, with 7 games to go, and as you said, Paul, they've been at the top of the table for 6 months. They're not there by accident. This is not a kid on. This is serious. And they've survived several obstacles, playing without Lon Shanklin, playing without Cammy Devlin, and they're still top of the table. They're there for a reason, and it would take a monumental effort from either Rangers or Celtic to topple Hearts and become champions.
Yeah. There'll be also runs, won't they? If there's any slip up for Rangers, and certainly for Celtic, then for Celtic, you're going for every game. But final point from Declan was he couldn't believe that the lack of, I'm not going to say effort that he mentioned, but he left a voice note. He couldn't believe that this is Celtic going for a title. And it didn't look like it. I know it's nearly 2 weeks ago, Peter. I know about the surface you've just said. Discount that. Didn't affect Dundee the week before. They battered them at the end to make it 2-2. What do you think? You've
got to respond, Paul, to things that go against you. Whether it's the pitch, whether it's the decisions, you've got to keep fighting to the end. And I would never say players give up in any shape or form. No. You know, I don't think they've got that type of character. It's different now. You know, people talk about, oh, there's no Celtic men. That's different. That's all in the bygone days, because you've got a support there that you owe it to every time you pull on the shirt. You know that all the time. So that never changes. But I don't think anybody downed tools. I just think they were really poor on the second half. And as I say, it was through simple decisions about not throwing, like simple throw-ins, not throwing them back, throwing forward. You know, how many, it was difficult when I thought Martin, for the first time when he made the substitutions with two wingers, I didn't think it was conducive because you couldn't run with the ball on the pitch. So wee things like that. And that's, Martin O'Neill's been unbelievable. And as I say, this will be his best title. Without a shadow of a doubt, if he wins this title, it'll be his best. And there's one man that's capable of it, and it's Martin O'Neill, just with what he brings to the dressing room.
Mark, overall, you agree with that? It would be his best ever title?
Yeah, I would imagine so, Paul. You know, the most satisfying title. I mean, it would be hard to beat his first season, winning a treble for the first time since 1969, and building a team almost from scratch to do it. But yeah, this, you know, this would be at 74 years old, considering what he's inherited twice, considering the lack, I would say, the lack of proper backing that they got in January at the window. You're not going to tell me for a minute that all those signings were the first choice signings. Far from it. I would imagine, and just getting a tune out of people, keeping them in the hunt. Look, it could well be that Celtic don't do it. They might do it. The odds are stacked against them right now. But again, if you go back to it, Paul, and this has nothing to do with Martin O'Neill, the decision to remove him from his post in December, one of the worst decisions in the modern history of the football club. 33
days, and it was mayhem at the football club.
But Mark's talking there, Paul, at Martin's first time. Then you look at Sutton, Larsson, Hartson. Then you look at Celtic have not got a striker just now. And that's not been disrespectful, that's fact.
It's fact.
Because the boys that have come in have either not been playing games or we don't have a centre forward. And it doesn't matter where you are. Celtic always had centre forwards. And then, as it's funny, Nygren, if he'd have scored against Dundee United, he'd have been 20 goals. There's not anybody in 10 goals after that, 9. I think it's 8 or something like that. Is the next man.
And he's not a striker.
And he's not. And that is incredible to think that. And that is why I think it'll be his best, because of the quality he's got in that forward line. Because to win games of football, you need strikers.
Celtic fans, what do you think of that? Would this be the greatest turnaround, greatest achievement for Martin O'Neill, who, remember, when he arrived in 2000, Mark, he came and said, look, Rangers are the benchmark. Rangers were expected to go and win the title. And I always remember in the paper, they printed 2 Rangers teams, and the second one looked almost as good as the first, and they reckoned they would beat anybody else. Martin O'Neill came in, and it was a treble. It's incredible. Rangers fans, what are you thinking for you? You've only won, one title in 14, and it's time for Rangers to win, is what every Rangers fan will think. And if you don't win it, but actually being positive, Mark, this is what a chance for Danny Rule. 7 games, 7 wins. So I take it with them, it could be 5 wins, 2 draws. 6 wins, you would imagine. Yeah, it depends what happens with Hearts, but it's in Rangers' hands, isn't it? If they win every game, they're champions.
Yeah, it is some turnaround. And when you look at it as well, Paul, 31 games played. It is incredible to think Rangers have only lost twice.
Yeah,
you know, when you think of it was shambolic under Russell Martin, even Danny Rowley's first couple of weeks to get it going. And you think if Rangers do go on to become champions, as much as they were criticised for the 3 draws away from home, Motherwell, Livingston, Hibernian, throwing away a 2-goal lead against Celtic, those wee points will all become significant. So at least you weren't losing. They should have been winning a couple, in particular when you're Motherwell down to 10 men and you're a goal up. But it would be a hell of an achievement. And the Rangers board, Paul, would have to take an enormous amount of credit for backing their manager in January. Gave him a £10 million kitty. The left back Romans has been terrific. Naderi's not been exceptional, but he's been very, very effective. He's brought out a Turin Chermiti as well, helped to do that. They also resisted a couple of bids, but not selling a couple of players. So the Rangers hierarchy have really supported their manager and the previous manager, Russell Martin, bringing in Mikey Moore, etc., etc. For all the criticism Fernandez Russell Martin had for signing him, look at what he's contributed in terms of goals.
Scored again the other night on international
for his country. So look, there's a lot there. And then you go to Derek McInnes, Scottish coach, who's been managing for nearly 20 years and is, I would say, 18 points, 6 wins would guarantee them the title. I think 6 wins out of 7 of becoming a champion manager, the first one in more than 40 years to beat Celtic and Rangers.
Of course. Sir Alex Ferguson would be the last one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Peter, it's absolutely fascinating. And for Rangers, never a better chance to win it?
Never a better chance, Paul. I thought in January they had the best window, and I said that, and that's why I thought I put them slightly ahead. It allows them to play a different way. The one thing that both them and Hearts have got above Celtic is score set plays, and they don't concede many for set plays. So they can play poorly and still win a game for a set play. Celtic can't play poorly. Celtic need to have near enough the perfect goal to score. Yeah. Because if it's not Liam Scales getting on the end of a header, nobody else does. And that's a big thing to have when you're not playing well. Hearts done it again. They won 1-0 set play. And that's why they've won a lot of games that way. And it's a small detail like that is so important.
Chermiti played, as you know, in the under-21s. Didn't score the other night for Portugal, but against Scotland. Scotland lose again. That's maybe one for later. Yet again, the manager saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to learn from this." Crikey.
What, 5-6 years in the job. Good to see Tyler Fletcher, Dan Fletcher's boy playing it. His brother, his twin brothers, opted to go down
England.
The English
good on
route.
Tyler.
But good on. And if he's half as good as his old man, then we'll have got a hell of a player in our hands.
Indeed. Peter, I don't know how we got onto that there, but the international, Chermiti as well, but didn't score because the Rangers fans, people had kind of written him off. That's not the case now for the way he played against Celtic twice and against Hearts. He can play in the really big ones, but he needs to pop up with some goals in the last 7 games. Yeah,
but the difference is, Paul, now, people used to say he works hard, runs into the channel, and that's why I agree with Mark when Nadiri been there. So when he runs the channel now and he's out of space, there's always a centre forward in there. There's always another body in there, and that's the difference. When he'd done it previous and he was up there on his own, then there was nobody in the box. Rangers never looked like scoring, and he didn't look like scoring. They're saying, he's never in the right position. But that's what I'm saying, how important Nadiri's been for them. It still gives them that extra bodies in the box. Mikey Moore playing in the right position has gave them that little bit more, because I said to you when I was down south, I never ever seen him playing the right hand side, and I think that was only. And I was surprised at Russell, because I always used to see him as a number 10, sort of, being that second striker or coming in off the left hand side. He's played there, and you getting your best performances from him.
Rangers fans, what are you thinking? Who's going to step up for you to win your first title in 5 years, isn't it? It was 2021. Should we go to Liverpool, where Scotland were the other day? But Michael is on, a big Celtic fan. I think he's thinking Scotland, or maybe it's Celtic. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, guys.
Evening,
no,
Michael.
I'm not thinking Scotland.
Michael. You're not. You're thinking about, you're not mentioning Scotland at the Hill Dickinson. Everyone's talking about what a great stadium.
Hi, Jesus.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a Liverpool fan, so
I know you are, but hey, listen, that great city, so am I, but you can still.
That's correct.
David Moyes, Glasgow's own, is down there and is the manager, and we're proud of that. Okay, we'll take that bit out of the podcast, the intro.
I hope Scotland, I hope Scotland do well in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, because that's my native country, obviously.
Indeed. So Michael, Celtic Dundee this weekend, Dens Park.
Getting down to the nitty gritty this weekend, guys.
Yep.
I don't want Robbie Keane as a manager, right? Because I don't really rate Hungarian football or whatever, right? Israel, because I would rather get. That just shows you about this board, right, Paul? They've got no ambition whatsoever, and I just think, guys, right. It'll no change whilst they're still there.
All right.
It'll always be the same thing every time.
Sure. You said this last week as well. Let's take that point you made about Robbie Keane. I'm keen to think, Peter, what do you think? So apparently he would be the favoured choice of the major shareholder, Dermot Desmond. A lot of people, I think, on the board would like Jens Bertel Askew. I don't know for sure. And there's some other names as well. What do you feel if it was Robbie Keane?
We can look at the results he's had at the clubs he's been at. They've done very well, and Robbie done very well when he's went in Hungarian football. Yeah. And people would say probably the same about Scottish football in Hungary.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Indeed.
So there's no getting away from that. But you can only judge him on what he's done so far, and he's done remarkable. He's done really well against Rangers when they played Rangers as well. So listen, it's a difficult one. Everybody, I think it's difficult to judge guys till they come in the door and start working for Celtic, because this is the biggest change it's going to be at Celtic for a hell of a long time. And I'm talking about the personnel and players. So what the new manager's got to bring to it, with players coming in and coming out, and there's got to be a big change round, and that's got to be done very, very quickly. Mark will tell you most of the work's done in pre-season, but there's a hell of a lot of work to be done before even pre-season begins, and then you've got to try and get all the bodies in the door. so you can go your pre-season and work on what you're all about. So whoever the manager's been, but I don't think we could scoff at like say Robbie Keane because of the jobs he's done previous. I think he's worked under a hell of a lot of good managers, and I think that's important, because if you worked under good managers, you take good bits and bad bits, how they deal with players, never mind the coaching field, because that's always important, but most importantly how they handle big stars. And Robbie was a big star himself down in England for a long time, apart from being an exceptional player, and I'm sure he's taken things from them all, and you can see that with the jobs he's done so far.
I was just going to ask, you had him when he came and loan, how was he
He was terrific.
No,
he was terrific. Listen, I played against him some of my first games when he was a young kid at Wolves, breaking through, and I was playing at Norwich at the time, so I've known him a long time. He's an outstanding player.
Did he leave you pecking?
He was unbelievable. Well, he scored the hat-trick against us that day, and it was the worst injury Kevin Muscat gave on Craig Bellamy.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that, that's right. Yeah.
And that was that was the same game, but Robbie was unbelievable that particular day. But I'm saying his football knowledge and his understanding, and for a player who has quality to go in, especially in the modern day, to go into coaching, tells you he's got a hunger and a drive to succeed. Because it's easy for these guys, because they've made a hell of a lot of money, and it's easy for them. He's a very good businessman as well.
Is he?
Yeah. Yes. So all these things combined, it lets you know that he wants to be in that fire. And Celtic will need somebody like that who's willing to go and work their socks off to be successful, and he's proven that so far with the fact of the places he went to work.
Mark, we can understand where Michael's coming from. A lot of Celtic fans saying, what's the logic behind it? Because the people in charge are the people who thought Wilfred Nancy was a good idea.
Paul, I don't know if Michael agrees. I mentioned it on Tuesday night, and the more I think about it, I would just offer the job to Martin O'Neill and his staff.
Yep.
Whether Celtic win the title or not. And I explain, and I'll say it again. Okay, he might be 74. Martin might not want to do it for another year, but I would give him the option. He's been in the building twice, and he's certainly been in there since January. He's looked under the bonnet. He knows what's required. He knows that the guys there that are good enough to kick on. He knows that the guys there that need to go, maybe like your Hitatis, your Maidas. And they've probably started scouting already, looking at players, pre-season in place, etc., etc. I just think right now, given where Celtic are on and off the pitch, I think, Robbie Keane or Anascu, Grant, I just think they'd be really up against it, because, like I say, I don't think the situation with the Celtic supporters and the Celtic hierarchy is going to be fixed anytime soon. And Martin O'Neill knows that situation. He knows how to handle it. He knows how to give the supporters what they want, but he also knows what to say in terms of when it comes to representing the board. I just think right now, for me, I would offer the job to Martin O'Neill and say, do you want it? And go again. Because I tell you what, you look at the job that he's done over his two spells. If Martin O'Neill was in charge from when he took over from Brendan Rodgers in October, and they allowed him to go right through, I think Celtic would be top of the table and they'd be going for a treble. Okay, so why would you dismiss that? And I'm nothing against Robbie Keane or Anascu. So again, for the sake of stability and continuity, I would say to Martin O'Neill, do you want it? Go and do it. Go and crack on. And get the job done.
Before I throw it to Michael, Peter, what would you say to that? Yes or no?
Well, I would offer him it now.
Yes.
I'd have offered him it a few weeks ago, or I just said to Martin, when you come back, we want you to stay for a longer period. See what you do between now and the end of the season. Brilliant. But then that's you for next season as well. So go and win as the league this season if you possibly can, but then continue that in the next season. That's what I'd have done.
Because they've been silent about all these things. We want to find out more about the season ticket alliance. We'll have more news on that soon. A few weeks ago, Willie Hockey told us about it here on the programme, because there is such discontent at the club, and there needs to be change top to bottom and a certainty. Michael, what do you think about that? Give it to Martin O'Neill now, just as...
Yes, Mark's brilliant. He's got spot on 100%. And I think Mark's he makes a lot of good comments. I really like Mark on the radio. And my mates even say about Mark, oh, he's great on the Go Radio and all that. Aye, you do, mate, honestly. Excellent. Because you talk sense and you've got a good, sensible brain, if you know what I mean. You talk how I like you to, the things, how you present yourself, Mark. And that's what I like about you, my friend. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you, Michael.
I even said that to my mate, because we was doing in Liverpool and we were listening to it one night, and he said, Mark Guidi's good.
Okay.
I should have known.
Michael, I
He
didn't
talks a
realise.
lot of sense and talks a good points.
I agree with a lot of that. I didn't know that you were Michael Guidi. So that's really. I'm only kidding. Michael, great point. We have to fire on. But look, I get what Michael's saying. Who can you trust? You could for a long time, but it's the board or the people behind it that wanted Wilfred Nancy. And not only that, they decided to, I think your words were, dismiss Martin O'Neill just ahead of the Hearts game and the League Cup final. They certainly said, thanks, but no thanks. We'll be fine. He was back within 33 days. It was unbelievable. Rangers now got the best chance. Rangers fans, what do you think? And what about Hearts as well? Do we have Hearts fans here in Glasgow in the West? Give us a call. 0808 1717 700.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Well, the international break has just about come and gone. Scotland, 2 games, 2 defeats, close defeats. I'm not being an apologist, Peter, but, Japan went on to beat England, as they did against us. And Ivory Coast, I thought, well, what did you feel about both games? And what did you learn from it? I guess that's the question with just over 70 days to go to the World Cup.
Not much, Paul. Much of a muchness. Billy Gilmour's not a number 10, I would say that. Against the ball, we still struggle when we're trying to be on the front foot, because if we go and attack into a counter-attack, and yet again, I'm saying about Billy Gilmour, a lot of criticism came to, I think it was Ross McCrory, they were all sort of looking at. And you look at Billy Gilmour, he goes half the way with the midfield, the boy that knocks the ball into the back of the net. He's got to go the full distance, that's your job. So there's wee details like that. I always think Scotland, when we're attacking, don't have that organisation behind it. All our players like John McGinns and McTominay's and that always seem to be on the front foot, which is their best. But then when you've got to give them that freedom to do that. I just feel behind the ball, then there should be people organising, whether it's you're playing your back three or if it's 2 centre-backs, they should be talking to everybody, organising their midfield in front of them. And your full-backs and that should be willing to go and attack, because that's the only way we're going to create chances, because we've had 5 strikers or whatever you want to call it and can't score. So that's a bit of concern, but it's nothing new for us. But from it, I think Billy Gilmour's period at number 10 just tells you he's better as a deeper one, pushing the passes into there.
Is he a number 6?
Yeah, I hate saying that.
He's a
midfield player. He's a midfield player.
Holding midfielder.
I don't even say. I just say a midfield player, Paul.
Sure, right.
Sometimes you put the brackets on players. He's better having it and being able to shove it into a guy's feet into that final third or whatever. And to be putting him as a number 10, right, you need to get somebody then who's going to pass the ball to him. And there's not many like that. So I just think sometimes we were trying things that we already knew the answer to. We already knew the answer to that we don't score enough goals. Hurst was probably the positive, because he's mobile, works really hard, and I feel if you get someone up with him, because I thought the first 10 minutes, especially against Ivory Coast, we were on the front foot, we pressed the right way, and it was good to see 2 strikers up against centre-backs. They kicked the ball away, but they all fell in again. Once they scored, we started to drop them off about we were 5 or 10 yards late in the press, and it allowed them to pass through. And you allow good players time and space, they will rip you apart.
Mark, we did look flat-footed at the goal, didn't we? So we're on the attack, just all the things Peter said. But from a defensive point of view, the keeper and everybody, it was almost like slow motion.
It was, It was kind of, is that getting in? Is that over the line? And then I just thought, for a 10-minute period, Scotland were really, really stopping. I remember they had a corner and losing possession. The pass is a 10-yard pass. And then we go to get, look, Paul, whether we won the 2 games 2 or 3-0 or not, for me, these things don't make a hell of a lot of difference, to when you get to the World Cup. It's always nice to win, but it doesn't make that. What you look at is see, okay, so who's enhanced their chances? Well, I did mention Tuesday night. I like to look at Hurst when he came off the bench against Japan on Saturday. He kicked on into to Tuesday night. Stevie Clark's tried a couple of things. He's going to a back 3 as well. Used the back 4. He's given Liam Kelly a start, who may well be the backup goalkeeper to Angus Gunn. So there's a few wee things there. But look, it all comes down to what we do on June the 13th in the opening game, because we'll have 2 more friendlies before we play the opening game, and that'll be the settled squad. That'll be the squad that's going to the World Cup. So the past 2 games were a wee bit of trial and error, probably finding out things about players in terms of ruling them out. And 1 or 2 getting ruled in. But look, over the piece, it was fine. But I agree with your point in the goal that we conceded the other night.
Here's the manager speaking about George Hurst.
Good. Come in, bright, needs a goal, would like a goal, but he's trying to score. He's had good efforts. He's tried to get efforts away. That's a good thing for a striker.
Overall in the game?
Another defeat, never like losing. I think we deserve to lose if you put the game into a hole. But I thought we started really well in the game. Really bright, really clever, trying to get forward. I think our system probably caused them a little problem to start with, which obviously they adapted to. But lose a really poor goal on counter-attack. The organisation behind that attack wasn't right. Good teams will punish you. That's what happened. Ivory Coast are a good team. They punished us with a counter-attack. And I thought the reaction to going 1-0 down wasn't good. We lost control of the game when we should have kept control of the game, because we'd started really well, and that's something we have to become better at.
Scarily sounding like what you've just said, Peter. What was he pleased about in the game?
No, the reaction was good. I told the players after the game, I'm pleased. I'm pleased. 2 performances, 2 different systems. Tonight, I felt the start of the game was good because we were on the front foot. I just felt we didn't react very well to the goal, and we have to be better at that. Second half, I thought we were excellent. We got about them. We tried to play on the front foot. By and large, we did. And we just need to find a little bit of quality or a little bit of calmness when you get to the final third of the pitch. And if you do that, the chances will come. So
there's going to be a squad of 55. I don't know if that's relevant. Then it goes down to, 26? We know, he knows, 22 of them, maybe 23. Can I ask you, who are the strikers you reckon that are going to be there? Peter?
I find it difficult, Paul, because none of them really scoring goals. You know, that's the problem. Conway's got 8. I don't see enough of them at Middlesbrough, and then he playing wide left for us. And I think it's whoever it's going to be. I still think it's not going to be our strikers are going to be our goal scorers. I think it's going to be the McTominays, the McGinns, Christie. They're the ones that's going to be able to get a goal for you. I just look at us and the way we play. I agree with Stevie 100%. The first 10 minutes was very good, but to play that system, Paul, you've got to be willing to push your wing backs right in. All of a sudden they come back, and then you end up with, if it's a John McGinnis, for instance, I'm saying in midfield, we end up him at right back, and you can't do that. You've got to play the way they started the first 10 minutes. But then when you lose some, it just can't go to pot. And I felt for that period it taken far too long. And listen, it's difficult to be critical of strikers. We don't create enough because everybody's too deep. The wing backs are too deep, and I keep saying, no matter what the system is, because I like a back threes, you know, I use it as I think you could use it as attack, and that's what I loved about it, playing 2 strikers. It was great to see, you know, so all these things, but then you've got to get the ball in the box, you've got to get bodies forward to support them, but behind it, it's up for other people to organise. You know, they were critical, as I say, of certain guys not getting back in against the ball, but I think that's what you notice more as a manager. Your right-sided centre-back and your 3 should be willing to go to right back, so your wing back can go tight. And all wee things like that and wee details like that. And I don't think we seem to have learned for that for the last tournament. And we have to be very, very careful going into this one. Because if not, even Hattie are going to be difficult for us in the respect of that. No matter what system you play.
I thought you were going to say Hatati.
I was
not
going
in the squad. Mark, what do you think? Who are the strikers? And listen, I hear every word Peter says. You're right. If they don't get any supply, it's difficult. Who do you reckon? Lon Shankland will be back.
So I think it was at 4 this. There was Conway, Hurst, Dykes and Adams. Is that right? Your 4 number 9s basically. Obviously Dykes and Adams are the main 2 that have been with Steve, you know, for the 5 or 6 years. I think Shankland has to go. You know, really, whether Hearts win the league or not. You know, he's on a high. You know, whatever. I just like his play. I like the way he can link the game. He can hold the ball up. Very, very clever movement as well. And going in the performances of the previous 2 games, I would go with Hurst ahead of Conway. So if he's going with 4 number 9s, I don't know if he will. He might just go with 3. But if he's going with 4 number 9s, unless I'm missing anybody obvious, I think Adams and Dykes are gimmies because he's very loyal to them, and Hurst and Shankland.
And are they capable of scoring at the World Cup? And I mean, in the case of Dykes, I'm not being cruel.
You've got to create.
Sure.
Paul, now if these guys are missing sitter after sitter, then you think okay, but they're no. Sure. You know, they're hardly getting an opportunity. Between the best opportunity over the 2 games was McTominay, I think, against Japan at 0-0. The chance to put Scotland ahead. I'm not going to criticise McTominay. At least they got it and target the goal he's made a save, but you should be tucking that away. So that's where, you know, he's brought in Curtis to help create. You're hoping that Ben Gannon Dokes available. That's why he was desperate to try and get Harvey Barnes to give that spark to create chances. So I think if Scotland get chances, and one thing I'd say I wasn't overly impressed was their set pieces. Set pieces, as we all know now, so important. So I think you really need to brush up on their set pieces, because getting corners, getting free kicks, anything for 30-40 yards to go, getting it in the box, that could be vital as to scoring goals. It doesn't look as though we're cutting teams open, and creating chance after chance.
Who works on that behind the scenes? Do we know?
Listen, at the end of the day, Paul, that comes down to the manager anyway.
Right.
Even if I had a
Sure.
coach, you'd still be making the decisions, and it's the personnel you've got. But then you can have the biggest team in the world, but if you've not got good delivery, it doesn't matter. And vice versa. If you've not got the biggest team, you've got to work it. I mean, it's sometimes, for an instance, I was at Bournemouth and we had the smallest team ever. So you did make different signals. We used to leave 3 up defensively because we weren't the biggest. So wee things you have to think on. And it can leave you exposed at certain areas, but that's what you've got to think. That's how important they are. And we're talking about Scottish Premier League as well, how important it's going to be in the running.
What about the goalkeeping position? The manager was asked about his decision to, he didn't start with Gunn, he started with Liam Kelly.
I had a chat with Angus about it. I had a chat with all the goalkeepers. I wanted to give Liam a little bit more international experience. I wanted to give Scott Bain a little bit more international experience. Maybe Craig doesn't make it, maybe Angus doesn't make it. That was the thinking on that. In terms of Angus getting game time, to get game time at the end of March is still a long way away for the tournament. So he's going to train at his club, he's going to work at his club, and come the summer, if he's in the squad, he'll get one of the friendlies.
Mark, former goalkeeper, what are you thinking about it? There is news today where Craig Gordon apparently is making really good, very positive, Derek McInnes said, very positive signs that he will be back before the end of the season.
So I would have played Angus Gunn the other night, but I get why Steve wanted to give Liam Kelly and Scott Bain a run out. No harm in it at all. I think before Paul had real concerns about the goalkeeping situation. Obviously it's far from perfect because Angus Gunn isn't getting regular game time and hasn't had for 9 months, but I like the look of him. I think he's been really solid for Scotland. I thought he had a horrendous Euros in Germany, but he's really bounced back. Before, I don't think you need to rush Craig Gordon. I would, even if Craig Gordon trains and is part of the squad, for me I go with Angus Gunn now as a number one, as a Scotland number one. If Craig Gordon comes in, I think Scott Bain would be away. So I think your 3 goalies, Angus Gunn definitely, Liam Kelly definitely, and Craig Gordon if he gets 2 or 3 weeks training under his belt, get into the month of May, then he would be part of the squad as well. But right now, for me, Angus Gunn number one. Scott
Bain did pull off a great save the other night. Could have been 2-0.
Yeah, he did. Scott Bain, again, no harm if it's a number 3. Unlikely he's going to get used anyway, unless there's a real, you're very, very unlucky. I just think looking at him at Falkirk, he just, I'm just not comfortable with some of the goals that he concedes. So that's why, for me, Angus Gunn number one.
And yet he's the only one playing. 0808 17 17 700. More coming up as we get ready for the weekend. What's the latest on Austin Trusty, who came off early for the USA? And for Rangers, David Watson in their sights, maybe for Celtic as well, but the Kilmarnock player is wanted by Bologna. That's next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
You'll miss nothing this weekend as we get ready for the return to league action in the Championship. Partick Thistle getting close to St Johnstone's. Been a good week for them. And what in the top division? Motherwell against Falkirk. Bertolascu very much in demand. You heard Mark saying on Tuesday night, Aberdeen, he was really wanted there. He said, nope, I'm staying at Fir Park. But he's not going to be there next season, is he? Wanted maybe by Celtic and maybe elsewhere as well. Hibs against Kilmarnock. Huge for both of them. Hibs are going to be playing Hearts. Could that be a title decider in Edinburgh? Can you imagine if we were EO? What's Ho? Where did H come from? I don't know. Edinburgh. It's going to be some match. Where will that be placed after the split? Rangers against Dundee United, we mentioned. St Mirren against Aberdeen. Peter, that's a game. I mean, if you've nowhere else to go, what a match this weekend.
It's incredible because I think Stevie Robinson's put a pressure on himself with the way he dealt with his interview. And Stevie's not really like, I know he's an emotional boy. Yeah. But the way he spoke about the players and saying about 6 months, I mean, it's the last thing you say about managers previous. You shouldn't be mentioning things like that. So I think he's put a pressure on himself. I think he thinks he was maybe trying to rattle his players. But I think it's put an undue pressure on himself. He should just went there. And they know they've been struggling. You see the results, Paul. Yep. You've got to handle that. And sometimes, as a manager, I've been there. You want to say certain things, but there's a certain time for it. And I just thought the timing of it was quite surprising for somebody Stevie's experience.
Yeah, it's going to be some game, isn't it? Aberdeen, who are dropping. They're falling like a stone, aren't they? Quite a few people have come on, and obviously the Rangers game at 3 against Dundee United. And then Sunday, you know the story, Livy Hearts, and then Dundee against Celtic. Paul has been on, a Celtic fan in Lanarkshire, saying, I heard your caller Michael earlier praising Mark Guidi. I agree, he's different gravy. I think that is a compliment. A great mix of old school journalism and forthright punditry. Paul McGawkey there in Lanarkshire on making the switch, I think, Paul, at last. Took you a bit of time, but thank you. Mark, in fact, in the first hour, which we're still in, Mark has already said, look, Celtic, you need to offer the job now. Stop hanging about. We're now in April. The season's over next month. You faffed about too much all season. Give it to Martin O'Neill and the team behind him as well. I mean, Sean Maloney, Steve McManus,
Matt Fornium,
the one they all
Gavin
love.
Strachan,
Yeah, exactly.
Give
them a certainty, get some planning going for next year. And would Martin O'Neill take it? Well, ask him. And then you get ready for the following year. You know, you then see who's the right person. Plus, what's the structure at the football club? Who is going to be there assisting? Who's the head of football? Or is it the manager or whatever? Is that Martin O'Neill? A bit of clarity from Celtic is needed, because Rangers, a new CEO in there. I know it's not the football side, but you get Jim Gillespie in, who knows his way around a football boardroom, having been at St Mirren, and also the job he did at Kibble, huge charity.
He's a great operator.
Yes,
a great
everyone
operator,
says,
Jim Gillespie. Yeah,
right.
He's a great. I think Aberdeen wanted him as well.
Right,
He's a great operator. So you know, Rangers putting things in place, and again, Paul, I was saying it this time last year about Barry, just bring a bit of certainty. As Peter knows, there's a lot of work to be done. You know, obviously, what happens on a Saturday afternoon is the most important thing. But all the things that go on behind the scenes Monday to Friday that help you get towards trying to get a victory on a Saturday. And I think we'd all agree on the park in terms of a first team squad, this is the biggest rebuild Celtic have had in God knows how many years. So my point would be, you've got an experienced manager, a winner, who has been under the bonnet this season. He knows what's required. Why not just go and give him the job and get things underway for next season? Whether Celtic win the league or not, if Celtic do not win the league this season, it certainly won't be Martin O'Neill's fault. No. That's for sure. And if they do, it would be an incredible achievement, his best ever as a manager. But you've got a guy, as I've said, you've got an experienced guy, a guy with the respect to the supporters, with gravitas, the respect to the dressing room. Give him the job.
Peter, you've had a few minutes to think about it there. Initially you said, I could see that. That could make sense, but do it now.
Of course you do it now, because, listen, it gives everybody a boost. It gives the supporters a boost as well. But also the fact is, Mark touched on it, Martin knows the ones that he thinks are not the quality that Celtic need. They will try to move them then, if they're not out of contract. He'll know the quality that you need to represent Celtic, which is massive. So he knows all that. But a new manager coming in is trying to get to know players. And I know sometimes players respond who you thought were already out the door and respond to a new manager coming in. I understand all that. But if you're going to do that and you're going to offer Martin the job, why wait to the summer? If you're not offering him the job, that's fine then. Okay, Martin will probably know that. But if they're going to offer him the job, I would give everybody a boost if you said to him tomorrow, Martin's the manager of Celtic and into the new season. Well, hopefully we can go on and win the league this season and then get into the new season, and Martin knows what we need and what the players we can get rid of and the ones to make Celtic stronger than they have been this season.
Also as well, Paul, whoever the new manager is going to be, whether it's Martin O'Neill, whether it's Robbie Keane, whether it's Jens Askew, whoever it may be, the Celtic hierarchy have got to up their game.
Yeah.
You know, the last few windows have been unacceptable. The best bit you could put Robbie Keane, Martin O'Neill and Askew on together. Sure. But if they're not backed by the hierarchy, given a good transfer kit, go and get deals over the line, go and get my first choice targets. They're realistic targets.
Not just loan players.
Go and really, you really need up to get, regardless of who the manager is. The hierarchy needs to up their game. They really, really do. There needs to be better than what's been the past year to 18 months.
Have you got faith that they will, Mark? You've observed Scottish football for, 30 years. You can see what's happening at Rangers. They've been in the doldrums for, they've won one title in 14 years. It tells you everything. Well, but Rangers are coming back.
Yeah, well, you look at the appetite of Andrew Kavanagh and his consortium, or whatever the correct word is, but you look at what they did in the summer. They backed Russell Martin.
Yeah.
Look at what they did in January. So they thought inside the four walls. No, it's not right. Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell are not fitting what we want to do, where we need to get to. Change. In comes Danny Rule. Whether Steven Gerrard was the first choice or not, Danny Rule's come in and he's taken them forward. They've backed the manager. So you can see there's a real enthusiasm from the Rangers hierarchy. There's a real intent, a real desire to back the manager and to become champions. So about half an hour ago, you said Martin O'Neill's famous phrase when he came in 2000 was Rangers are the benchmark. Right now, the Rangers board, the Rangers hierarchy are the benchmark.
Do you think they realise that at Celtic, or are they saying, hey, nothing to, I don't think they can say now, nothing to see here. They must know it could be a season with nothing. They might win the Scottish Cup. They might not win it. They might win the league. It could be a double. Peter, do you think they realise now, listen, they've done a lot of good things. Of course they have. But it's now time for change. Anyone can see that. There has to be change at Celtic.
I can only really talk on the football side for one reason, Paul. I'm looking at all the signings that's come in. And under 3 different managers, Martin twice, you're looking at them and the same guys are not playing. And they've all been signed. So the money that's been spent on the quality of the player coming in has been not good enough to lift the group of players, which, let's be perfectly honest with you, we all knew the certain ones were going, the Coons and that were going.
Yeah.
So you've already got every replacement in. So you get, whether that's the board or whatever. So I'm looking at it and thinking, yes, the board have got to agree to the signings. So what's looking at it? Who are we looking at to make Celtic better? I don't think when you look at certain players that have come in and raised the bar and been better than the ones that's already there.
And some of them you haven't even seen, really.
That's the point I'm making.
Balikwisha, was that £4.5 million?
But you bring players in, Paul, they're supposed to lift other players.
Yes.
And making their job so difficult.
Some of them are dragging them down.
That's not been the case. Some of them know the strip on, and you can't have enough players. And some of them, you can't. It's hard to be out an 18 now if you're in a squad, and that is where the problem lies. And that would be my worry. I know the Celtic with a few injuries make it obviously important players, but so is everyone, and you have to deal with that. That's throughout a season. You have to deal with that. But the ones that have come in have not been good enough, and they've not raised the bar for the other boys, the Callum McGregors, who no matter how many trophies you win, you need another set of guys coming in that's going to make it better for you and push you and lift you. So all these things, and that's not happened this season, and that's why they've ended up in the situation they've in. 4 changes of manager, Martin obviously twice, and that's never in Celtic's history obviously, but that shows you why we're in the position we're in. And the bottom line is, still not got a number 9.
Yep. All issues come from the top. All problems of management. It comes from the top of the tree, and nothing's been heard from Dermot Desmond since the day that Brendan Rodgers left, and within 20 minutes, that statement issued through the club by Dermot Desmond. Nothing has been said. Look, we'll find out about Trusty. You think he's going to be okay, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The news is next, and then we're back. 0808 17 17 700.
Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
70 days to go to the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup 2026. We can't wait. Scotland's first game, as Mark said in the first hour, June the 13th, Haiti in Boston. A few days later then, we play against Morocco, our last opponents in the World Cup back in 1998. And then on June the 24th, I don't even need to check the date, Miami, Florida, Brazil. Peter, there's the World Cup. Just can't wait. Whatever happened the last couple of days, we've talked about it there. But with Stevie Clark and everyone, we're going to the World Cup. We don't know about his future there. He doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He wants to concentrate on the games.
It's fantastic, Paul, as a player, as a manager. It must be brilliant to be preparing for such a iconic thing. I mean, we talked about Craig Moore last week. We were talking to Craig, him playing in it. And he said it was even better than the experience that he thought was going to be. So it's incredible. I mean, it's ultimate to go to a World Cup with your national team. Let's be perfectly honest with you. And if you're a player, you're champing at the bit, hoping you're going to be selected. Hopefully you're going to put in performances with your club before the end of the season. You stay clear of injury. But the only way you can do that is being 100% in your matches. If you try and draw out it a little bit. But it was very, very interesting. Not just Scotland, but you watch England, the amount of pull-offs they had at Arsenal, taking a lot of players out of all the ones that's challenging for the league. And that's my worry with national football. The clubs have got too much power. The players still should be allowed to go to their national team and represent them, because it is the highest accolade you can possibly get. And I just get disappointed, and that's why I said last week the friendly's doing nothing for me, because it's not the players that's going to the World Cup. The manager already knows that, and people are drawing them out left, right, centre. I would be making sure that these players couldn't play this weekend. That would be what I'd be doing, and then they would be making sure they're there.
But to be fair, with Scotland under Stevie Clarke, it doesn't happen so often.
Absolutely, I agree.
Mark, they're there. They turn up virtually, unless you get, like Lauren Shanklin has been injured, and we get that kind of thing, wasn't chosen for it. But you remember before, the number of people, you could tell what there'd be 3 or 4 that would pull out
routinely.
Yep.
But no, look, you said earlier, Paul, it was 55 names that'll whittle down to 26 towards the end of May. 23 outfield players, 3 goalies. It depends if Craig Gordon's fit or not. So if he is fit, Scott Bain will drop out and Craig Gordon will get in. 23 outfield places. I would imagine Steve Clarke will know 19, probably 20. So there's maybe 3 players, 3 positions that he's unsure of. And
we hope that Ben Gannon Doak is fit and he'll be on there. I mean, because Finlay Curtis might have played his way in if we don't have Gannon Doak. We're going to go on the lines in a second or two. Some of the other stories around today. Rangers have been looking at David Watson. It's been mentioned for ages. Maybe Celtic as well. The Kilmarnock midfielder, former Young Player of the Year. Bologna are in the mix as well, Mark, for him.
Yeah, he's out of contract in the summer. David Watson, he's been in the scene now for 3 years or so. I really like him. You know, as you said, Paul, he's the Football Writers Young Player of the Year. He's a really good player. Kilmarnock would love to keep him, but I think, you know, it's time to move on. And there's interest from all over Europe, which is great now. You know, you see our young Scottish players, you know, the door's been opened now in Italy. We've had boys going to Austria, different places down south. So he certainly won't be short of options. And I'm sure he's on the radar of Celtic and Rangers, but he might be one of those guys that fancies going abroad.
Of course. And Luke Graham's been mentioned a number of times at Dundee, and just days before Celtic go up there for the game, he's been mentioned for Ibrox. But he's saying, no, I'm thinking totally about Dens Park.
It just shows you, Paul, when these young boys are playing, they get exposed. People can see them and playing. That's the difference. You've got a young man coming in at centre back, which is a difficult position to be as a young player if you've not got an experienced player along you, because you're learning your trade. You've got to, on that defensive mode, we're talking about organisers, all these things. And I've been really, really impressed with him every time I've seen him this season, as I have been with Dundee, to be perfectly honest with you. But he's been outstanding in the games I've seen. So listen, I'm not surprised, and good luck to him. I hope he makes the right decision wherever he goes, because it's his performances that's gotten that.
Going back in the lines in a moment. Austin Trusty, so you've been doing your homework.
Yeah, well, I watched CBS, Paul, watching the games and American games and whatever. So, to be fair to Austin Trusty, he came out and said that it was cramp they had in both legs at the same time. That was what the injury was. Right. So, hopefully that was the case. It came from his mouth, to be perfectly honest with you. But the big thing for that was all the commentators were saying that he's put himself on the plane, but maybe not just on the plane, maybe in a starting position with his performance other evening there. So great credit to him, because we've got question marks over him at times at Celtic. Sometimes he has day moments, as you say, and then in big European games he's done exceptional well, you know. So he has these moments, but Americans were really praiseworthy of him, and I think they're a hard group to praise, because they've been very critical in the past to certain players. But for him, it was a good night for him.
Kevin has dialed 0808 17 17 700, a Celtic fan. Good evening, Kevin.
How you doing, boys? Is okay?
Evening, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
They're all in really good form, actually. Kevin, good news there about Austin Trusty's okay?
Aye, good news. That's the last thing that we needed, was another injury. Coming out at the end of the season. I'm actually wanting to talk about Scotland. I don't know if, where he's on the chat with the Scottish chat, but I've not been well the past week, so I've not phoned in. But
are you all right? Is it contagious? Are we all right?
My wife says I'll live. That's the best sympathy I got.
Was that a disappointment? Did you say with a disappointing tone?
I should say that a disappointing tone. I think she fucking the word unfortunately. Listen, just on about the Stevie Clarke thing. Listen, as you know, I'm a fan of Stevie Clarke. I thank him for everything that we've done, but I'm also in the camp of a change would be nice. A fresh face would be nice. And I think the two friendlies, it just backed up several Celtic fans, Scotland fans' frustrations of Stevie Clarke's refusal to mix up the squad. I do not understand it when you get friendlies, you've got boys wanting to prove themselves to go on that plane to America. I mean, for me, as a Celtic fan, I'm not even talking on behalf of any Scottish Celtic players. I'm talking about guys like Craig Halkett at Hearts, probably the season of his life. Guys like O'Donnell at Motherwell, who has been rejuvenated. He's been reborn under Bert Lasky at Motherwell. Dare I say it, McGinn at Motherwell as well.
Yeah, we talked about this last night. Yep.
People might say they're old, whatever. I don't care what age somebody is. See, if you are on fire, you should deserve the chance to prove yourself in that Scotland squad. And that's three boys.
Right.
And one of them, Craig Halkett, is at a club who I want their demise to come very soon at Hearts. But you cannot deny that boy is on fire. You've got Stevie Welsh, ex-Celtic, at Motherwell. He's had a great season under Motherwell.
All right.
I mean, why are these boys not getting a chance? And I would like to ask Mark, Paul, obviously yourself, and the guys on the panel, are you guys as frustrated as me or other Celtic Scotland fans when you see boys like that having a great season and they're not getting a sniff?
Mark, first, what would you say?
Well, firstly, I would agree with Kevin in terms of age. Age should never be a barrier at international level, particularly going to World Cup. Essentially, it's a 4-week job, so if you're doing well, whether you're 32, 34, or in Craig Gordon's case, 43, then you can go. Fair enough, all the guys there that Kevin mentioned, all defensive, all defenders. And I can understand, he's mentioned the three Motherwell boys who are having the season of their lives. Melson mentioned Halkett, who's helped Hearts to the top of the table. So there's merit in all those selections, and had Steve decided to include any of them or all four of them, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
But Mark, does it tell you, that he's not doing it with players because he knows he's not going to replace the Grant Hanleys or whatever? They're going to be on.
Yeah,
I
think, why are you going to leave guys out to bring guys in to give them a false sense of security? And bear in mind, he's worked with Stephen O'Donnell, he's been in his squad, so he knows what Stephen's
20
all about.
Odd caps.
I'm pretty sure Steve Clark gave Paul McGinn his Scotland cap as well, when him and John, two brothers on the pitch at the same time. So they know what they can do. In terms of, I'm not quite sure, I can't remember what the word Kevin used, the frustration around Steve Clark. I can understand it, and I agree, and I've said this. I think for Steve's case and for Scotland, I think it is time for a change in the summer, and that is taking nothing away from Steve. To get us to 3 major finals is incredible. I think I counted it up the other night. 8 managers tried to get us to a final and failed. Bertie Vogts, Walter Smith, Craig Levine, George Burley, Alec McLeish, Gordon Strachan, maybe it was 6. But some top names in there tried and couldn't do it. Came very close, but couldn't go over the line. Steve's got us to 3. But I agree. I think it would be time for a change in the summer.
Peter, what would you say?
Well, I just wrote down there, Paul, it was age with nothing at international level. I think Italy won the Euros with the oldest squad, and it was the best team they had. They've not qualified for a World Cup for the 3rd time. And it tells you, if you've got the players, no matter what their age is, going in, and this tournament's about progressing in. So it's about winning games. It's not as if you're saying, well, we're preparing for a Euros in X, Y and Z a couple of months. This is to go to the World Cup and try and get through. And I don't think Scotland will have a better chance the way that the fixtures have fallen, but especially with this group of players. My concern is after this, because I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, where is all these Scottish players coming from? That's my concern. And I don't think that's going to be Steve's problem, because it's going to be another manager who comes into Scotland. We're saying things, we're talking about Celtic's changeover. It's the same with the Scotland manager. I feel it's very similar, because yes, there's a lot of boys and they keep fitter longer, but tournament football like this is all about getting in and winning every single game you're involved in. So it's not about age, it's who's playing the best and who you think's the best for that position. And I'm a great believer. I had a 10 year off the squad. It was going to the World Cup, to these 2 friendlies, and I'd have played them and played systems till we get better at, because we do not create enough chances. So all the chop and changes, it's different if we're on fire and you're seeing things. I just think let's chop and change, making decisions with the guys that's going to be there. and then we'll know if they're going to be good enough to get us through, if we need to change a system during a particular game or get into a different match and play a different system. That's what I'd have been more looking at than personnel.
Kevin, I think the guys are saying that they're frustrated as well with you. There are some reasons. What about Steve Clarke's future? This is what he said after the game the other night.
I want to concentrate on the World Cup. I'm sure if something happens, you guys will know. If it doesn't happen, I'm not bothered. I want to get to the World Cup. I want to be in the right frame of mind. I want my players to be in the right frame of mind. What happens will happen. Finished. I'm not talking about my contract anymore.
No more about the contract. That sounds to me as though he'll be away after the tournament.
I tell you what I like about that, Paul, it brings clarity to the situation. You know, as in Steve Clarke said, they might sign a new deal tomorrow, and they might get an announcement tomorrow that's him finished at World Cup. But he's right. He's absolutely right. I am not talking anymore about it. We don't need that as a distraction. What will happen behind the scenes. But I like that. Just he's absolutely clear, and you can hear it in his tone and how he said it. I am not talking about this anymore, and rightly so.
I think it's a silly question.
I think it had to be asked.
No, I think it's a silly question, Paul.
From a journalistic point of view, you have to ask it.
I'd be more interested in the players.
But
what's the system? Whether Stevie Clarke's a manager, doesn't matter. I'm not being disrespectful. There'll be a million guys wanting the Scotland job. You know, it's the players I'm more worried about. What quality are we going to have to bring through? Who's coming next? That's the biggest worry for me. They're the questions I'd be asking Paul. I wouldn't be worrying about Stevie Clarke. Let's be perfectly honest. He's done a fantastic, phenomenal job. But the last question I'd be asking, I'd be saying, do you think that system works? Do you think the players are good enough? Do you think any players that's going to come in out the blind side?
Well, he asked, and he mentioned George Hurst. He was asked about the system.
I like the shape. I do like playing with front two. Sometimes it's difficult because I've got so many good midfield players that you're always tempted to try and get them into your side. I've said before, the back five, when we play a back five, it's a system that qualified us for 2 tournaments. And then everybody suddenly became really negative about it. When I have the key personnel that I can put on the pitch, the back five, the way we play, is a really good system for us. Whether we play with a back five, 1 striker and two off the top, it's a system that works for us.
So he was asked a lot about the players, about the system and all the rest of it. But I think as journalists, they have to say as well, and what about your own situation? Because you're not going to see him now till May.
Pertinent. It's pertinent. It's a question that needs to be asked. I get it from Peter's point of view. You're totally looking at it for a coach, a football and a tactical side. But in terms of journalists going to a presser, it's a pertinent because you never know. You might say, actually, I've just agreed something. So you've got to, or I'm not going. I'm away. I'm away in the World Cup. I've decided I'm away. So you might just get him. So no, I give you that. And I like his answer. He's explained pre-match on Tuesday night. Why am I playing a back three or a back five? Well, McCrory plays it for Bristol City. You know, he can go up and down the right hand side. I think as well. Peter would know better than me, but I think so you're looking at Kieran Tierney and Andy Robertson. So you want to find a way to get the two of them in the team because you're top 2 player. So obviously Robertson's a gimme at left back or left wing back. Then you say, so how do I get the best out of Kieran Tierney? Is Kieran Tierney at his best as a left centre half of a 4 or the left centre half of a 3? And I think you get the best out of Kieran Tierney as a left centre half of a 3 because it also gives him a licence to go forward with Andy Robertson and you're still keeping 2 central defenders. Because you look at it when he plays a 3, the amount of times that Kieran Tierney will still bomb forward. Then that's only one aspect. And again, Peter, you've got to take into account when you're picking your own team and your formation, you've got to take into account the strengths and weaknesses of the opposition, how to combat them, how to make sure we don't concede, or what's the best way to go and score against it. So we could play a 3 and a 4 during the course of the 3 World Cup section games. And he likes the 3 at the back. He does, doesn't he? It works with those two. Yeah, but many a thing are saying in words, Paul. Stevie calls it a back 5. Yeah, sure. And it shouldn't be. It should be a back 3. Because when he talks about back 5, that's the way Scotland end up playing it. Because the full backs get pushed all the way back, and then you've got the midfielders going out to the wide players. And for that's what happened after 10 minutes. Early on, the wing backs were pushed right up. It was a back 3. Yeah, sure. I say McCrory grows, and it was John Souter saying the right hand side. He should slip into near enough that right back area. No, as soon as they scored, McCrory was back at right back. You'd the centre back moving in one. Now you'd inside midfield player going to be the wide right, and that's when Scotland looked poor. When they're on the front foot as they did, and he spoke about it right at the start. It gives him an opportunity to play 2 strikers. Andy Robertson's as good a cross as you're going to get.
Whoever you get on the right hand side could be Nathan Patterson or whatever, can cross the ball and put the ball in the box. That's him on the front foot. But then that's what I'm saying. The back three should be able to organise.
Yep.
Whoever that central mid, I'd have John McGinn behind it and Scott McTominay behind the two strikers. So there's people you're thinking that's got 4 chances of scoring a goal. Then you've got the quality Robertson down one side and the quality whoever, if it's Patterson at right back or wing back. They're the things you've got to look at this moment in time. What Stevie said, he called it a back five. For me, I would get that out of his vocabulary and say it's a back three we're playing.
Because that's maybe in the psyche. You know, we're a back three. We don't need 5
Simple
most of the
things
time
like
at the
that.
back. Good point, Kevin. You've got Peter going anyway. I'll tell you that.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I love what Mark said there about the back three with Kieran Tierney, Mark. I couldn't agree more. To be honest, I don't know how you're not a coach, because some of the stuff you say just makes perfect sense all the time, to be honest with you. I think Tierney at the left of a back three would be brilliant for us with Robertson bombing up the left, and as you say, Tierney's got a licence to go forward as well. I thought I would leave you just with a funny update.
Yep.
So I was watching my South American football the other week.
You'll love it, I know. What's the news?
And it was our beloved Alfredo Morelos. I was watching Atletico Nacional. It was typical Morelos.
Yeah.
His team scores in a break, scores a brilliant finish, and then some point during the game, he's trying to shield the ball out for a throw-in. There's a member of the other team's coaching staff on the sideline, has a wee kick at the shins. The guy's hit the deck and Morelos causes a full-scale riot. Nothing changes with El Buffalo. I was expecting.
I'll tell you, it was never a dull moment with him around, was there, Peter?
No, definitely
I
not.
know.
When he turned up.
Yeah. Actually, to be fair, the Rangers fans at the time thought Peter was too harsh on him. See, by the end of that last season, they went, Peter Grant was right. You thought the way, listen, remember he missed 2 camps. He wasn't there in time he didn't miss the camps, but he missed Champions League qualifiers, and he'd hardly played for his.
He got sent off at Easter Road,
I know. Yeah.
then turn up late for training the next day, get into a massive Champions League game. And everybody's trying to support him for a manager. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he'd so much talent. Any Scottish blood there? We need a striker, Mark. It's, I know. Listen, Kevin, have a great Easter if we don't speak to you. Glad you're feeling better, despite what your wife is saying.
Cheers, Kevin.
And listen, could you imagine? I'd love to get rid of these two, because you could be Peter's the manager, Mark's the head coach or assistant manager. Crikey. Wow. Any jobs going?
Settle for that.
That'd be good.
On that bombshell, quick break and then we're back. And also Darren O'Dea, former Celtic and many other clubs as well. Dundee as well. So an insight from Darren, and Irish international defender who'll be with us. And who can believe, Peter, no Italy at the World Cup, no Ireland. It's such a pity though, isn't it? In America where there's a huge Irish contingent, and the Italians.
Yeah, it was a shame, but great credit to Bosnia and the respect to that.
Sure.
I mean, for such a small country, we talk about that ourselves, and we talk about you see the light on their supporters. It was phenomenal for them, and Edson Dzeko, going to a World Cup at this stage in his career is phenomenal. He's been an unbelievable professional, done brilliant at Manchester City and Roma and all the other clubs he's been at.
What a career!
So it's been fantastic, but they've held their nerve during 2 difficult games. Wales, the penalty kicks, every one of them perfect. Then Italy, every one of them perfect. That takes bottle and nerve, and that can be the difference, Paul, and the Italian boys couldn't handle that. Mark,
you're in charge of putting a kilt in every single story. Italy, the head honcho has gone from the FA, I think. What about Rino Gattuso, the coach?
Yeah, I don't know if Rino would want to stay if the Italian FA are insisting that he stays. I don't know, but I think the World Cup as a spectacle is poorer without Italy. Yeah, poorer without Ireland, the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. If I can take one positive from Italy and Ireland not being there, maybe that'll free up more tickets for Scotland fans in Boston.
Of course,
maybe because obviously big contingents, Irish and Italian in that part of the world. So maybe that's a positive. But it was mentioned the other night, Peter, and I didn't know, that it was Andy Walker that Italy hadn't been at the last 2 World Cups and now 3. Yeah. And I know, you can go to the Euros and win the Euros, beat England in their own backyard in the final, but not to make it to 3 World Cups. Absolutely incredible, isn't it?
We complain about Scotland.
Yeah, sure.
But they've got the same problem. I was listening to it the other day there, Del Piero and all that, talking about it, and it goes back to the same thing. They've not got enough Italian players coming through. They bring a lot of young players coming from other countries. So they're not getting brought through the systems. The same problems we're having here. And I don't care what anybody says. He was saying the best teams in Italy had was the 3-4 rule. And it is a massive problem because you go back and he's 100% right. Well, if you're talking about David Watson going to Italy, we'd be complaining about that. We'd be saying, why are they bringing young kids in? Surely we've got players of our own quality here. And there lies the problem, Paul, wherever you are. And the fact we keep going on about the substitutes, that is the problem. As I said to you, a game the other night there, Friday night, 16 substitutes. Impossible.
And that was what age was that?
It was either
under 19.
I just turned up at a game. I don't know if it was under 17 or under 19, Paul, but I went into Airdrie to watch Queen's Park versus Airdrie, and there were 16 subs.
Wow.
I just couldn't believe it. I'm looking at it and think, wow, how can that be right?
What a waste, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because all these kids should be playing. No matter what teams you go to, at least people can get to see you. You can't be sitting as substitutes. And I'm not just naming A2 clubs. That's everywhere I go to watch games. And I'm looking at... So Italy are complaining about the same problem. So there lies the reason why they've not been to 3 World Cups, because they're not producing the players that they did yesteryear.
I don't know. There's no fast solution to this. We won't do it between now and 7 o'clock, Mark, but it's a worry. And in the context of Scotland as well, we're getting fewer and fewer home-based players who are coming through. Yeah, they're not getting first-team football. And it is going to be an issue in the future. And some of them, I think it was... and John McGinn the other day did speak about it. It's maybe their last chance at a World Cup. He might still be there when he's, 35, 36, but the next time. But this is his chance. Andy Robertson, other players as well, who are at their peak. Scott McTominay, what is he, 29?
Yeah, he'll put another one left. Yeah. And Craig Gordon, if we're talking about goalies, and Grant Hanley's, there's a number, Kenny McLean's. As well, Ryan Christie must be pushing 30.
Kenny Miller. No, he retired. Kenny did go on and on, didn't he? He was fit as a fiddle.
He was still playing at 40, wasn't he? Kenny now over in Israel is Ronnie Dyer's assistant. We're talking about Italian football. We used to have this conversation every 2 years when we didn't qualify for a tournament between 1998 and 2021. And then you'd have the conversation if Rangers or Celtic were getting knocked out in Champions League qualifiers or were not getting there. But so they've made 3 tournaments out of the last 4. And has much changed in terms of what's really changed in the past 4 years? Well, the thing that jumps out for me is our players ripping it up in Serie A.
Yes.
Particularly McTominay, Lewis Ferguson, captain of Bologna and other guys going there. And I wonder, we were talking about strikers earlier on, does Bowie come into the equation? Playing in a struggling Verona team, but is he one that might just pop
That's
up
a great shout.
in the last month or so?
But see, on that, Paul, he went for Hibs and he was scoring goals. Now we say he's playing in a better league against better defenders, and it maybe not been as many chances. So surely when he's in the squads earlier, I think he deserved to play in a couple of the games previous, and then all of a sudden he's found himself completely out of the squad. And sometimes you have training players, don't you? You have some guys that look really good in match day, but in training you're thinking, doesn't look the greatest. But they just seem to come alive if you create them chances. And I thought Bowie done really well in the European games for Hibs. And I thought he led the line really well. He tamed the ball anyway. Defenders found it difficult to play against him. And he's a starter all the time in Italy. That's what I've noticed. He's been starting. So there's one. All of a sudden he goes away and doesn't get a chance to come in with 5 strikers. I just find that quite incredible, actually.
Some of the players playing for the big 2 World Cup involvement. So Nico Raskin played in both friendlies during the week. Peter, I know you watch everything, so I think he'll be there. Arnie Engels probably not. Obviously, he's been injured, so he'll probably miss the cut. So for Raskin, you can tell he absolutely loves playing for Belgium. I'm sure Arnie Engels does as well, but... good news for him to have that.
It's fantastic,
stature.
as I say, have that stature. I mean, I think he should stop going to Belgium and think he's a number 6. But that's why Anana, as Anana that plays with him there at Belgium, that's why he becomes a normal midfield player, and you've got some wonderful, wonderful players. And if you don't learn off the likes of the De Bruyne and that of this world, you've got a problem, But listen, it's fantastic for any player going to a World Cup ball, playing with the top stars, preparing for tournament football, playing with the best players and against the best players. They're only going to make you better, and that's why it disappoints. We're looking at that next level for us. Come on, let's get extra young players, so let's get them playing football. The more football they play, hopefully we're going to produce more of our own. And we see the problems Italy are having. We've done it for a long time now, so we should be reading that script, not just like going along with the flow to somebody else changes it. Let us do something about it. You know, let us quit having so many substitutes. Let us start that trend. It's like a manager coming in. Pep Guardiola comes into English football. What does he do? Everybody starts playing that way.
That's right.
So we wait. If Pep Guardiola says, right, I'm not having any subs in the youth team, I can guarantee you in the following Saturday we'd have no subs in the youth team.
Really? Yeah, they
100%.
just follow. Yeah.
100%.
Sebastian Tenecti scored midweek, as you know, Mark. So for him, good for his confidence. Everything comes back to what's going to happen the run-in now. But because he's gone off the boil, hasn't he? By and large, would that be fair?
I mean, I think a lot of people say now, oh, he's a good impact player, he's a good 20-30 minutes guy off the bench. You look at his contribution 5-6 weeks ago when he came off the bench against Kilmarnock, and you know, it ignited, sparked Celtic into life, and they got that last minute winner. Tenecki, it was just again, what does Martin O'Neill do at number 9? There's a dearth of quality.
Osman on his way back.
And but he's still a kid that's,
I know, sure,
3 or 4 first team games under his belt. I think it's really unfair to focus or to pin all your hopes on him, particularly if he does come back, he's going to have been out for 5 or 6 months. So you're looking at, you know, Iheanacho, Chavanchara, Adamu, Binchis, or you've got the option of putting Maeda through the middle as a number 9. But I would stick with Maeda out wide and persevere probably. Iheanacho, I think, is the best out of the 3, although he didn't show up too well at Tannadice. But whatever it is, Celtic just need to find a way to go and win. Like I said, they've been on Tayside 3 times this season, Paul, and get 0 points out of 9. 3 different managers. Brendan Rodgers lost at Dens. Wilfred Nonsi, Martin O'Neill have lost. So, but a lot of averages, Celtic are due a win on Tayside, and then of course you've got Rangers going for a brilliant incentive to go top of the table. Just go and win your home game against Dundee United, and as you said at the top of the show, for the first time in 2 years, go to the top of the table and put the pressure on Hearts and see how they react.
And that'll be interesting to see how Rangers react to that, Peter, because it must be, well, look, even if it's sort of 24 hours or whatever, but to be top of the table, see, as Mark says, what happens with Hearts. And also, has Danny Rule, has he got he's done really well. We know the story. They were 13 points behind when he came in the building, I think, in October. They're now, 3 points behind. What a period for him. And it'll tell us a lot about Danny Rule. He's got the entire confidence of Andrew Cavan and the board at Rangers. He's got the investment. There's a £16 million share issue coming up in the coming weeks. So what an opportunity for that young man. But also, you know, it's the threat and the opportunity.
But I'm looking at it, Paul, and that becomes very similar to Celtics. If they win the league, I can't remember them ever winning a league in that circumstances. I mean, we're nearly writing them off, November, October, you'd have been writing them off, saying no chance. And I said to you at the time, if Hearts get caught with Rangers, it'd been an indictment on them. Because everybody's saying, they'll never catch Hearts, because we're looking at the points difference between them and Hearts was phenomenal at one stage. So for the Rangers to come and win it, and I think, as I said before, I think they're slight favourites. Unbelievable. I said Roll getting in, I thought was a coup for them in the respect to that, when they were talking about Gerrard and that, and I said, well, remember Roll had pulled out it, and I said, well, I'm happy at that. Because he's been in the circumstances and he's dealt with certain things at Sheffield Wednesday that no manager really has to deal with.
The ownership and all that.
Everything, that's right. And it's a big club and a massive support.
I know.
So there's a pressure comes with that. Coming to Rangers, he's dealt with the national teams we spoke about. So how to handle players in situations, you can see he's went more German-like. They're more physical. They're on the set plays. All these things. He's looked throughout his team. So he's looked at that and he's dealt with that very quickly. And I said I thought he had a better window because he brought a striker in.
And he has.
And he done it, you know. He's got Mikey Moore playing in his best position, you know. Chukwueze and the midfielder, I really liked him when I seen him playing prior. So all these things have made them more physical, more stronger. The only thing I think he's got maybe wrong, I think he still plays Raskin as a deeper one. I'd be playing Chukwueze that role.
I think most Rangers fans think the same.
That's what I would be thinking.
Barry Ferguson does.
But you look at him at set plays now. So I'm saying to you, they can be in a game and not concede goals, but still win it 1-0 for a set play. Because Fernandes is an unbelievable threat. They've got Tavernier's delivery, etc. So all these wee things could be the difference. But if he goes in Saturday night and sitting top of the league, now it's rubbing your hands and saying, well, there's the pressure on the other two. It's to come and they've got to go and perform and they've got to win. And I keep saying to people, oh, it's great being a chaser. No, it's not. It's better looking at being at the top of the mountain looking down.
I'd also say as well, Paul, just for clarity, if Rangers don't win the league this season, you'll get some Rangers fans that say Danny Rulle's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because you heard it after
sure.
the Old Firm double header 3 or 4 weeks ago. Didn't beat Martin O'Neill's team in 2 attempts. He's got his go. He's not up to it. But just for clarity, if Rangers don't win the league this season, Danny Rule deserves to stay on as the Rangers manager. And I don't think the board will buckle. I think they'll support him again and go again. Because again, you look at what he's inherited, what he's built, what he's building. Then he definitely, I hope that there's not a stampede to get him out the door. Rangers hierarchy, regardless of what happens between now and May the 16th, the hierarchy have got to stick with them.
Got to hold their bottle, haven't they? Because it's tough, and the fans are not going to turn on them. Listen, there's 7 games to go. We don't know, but Rangers fans will look. You know what will happen? They'll come on programs like this saying, "We've won nothing again, absolutely nothing." But
no, I think absolutely it'd be crazy if they changed it. No matter what happens between now and then. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he made a big boo-boo in the Celtic game. There is no doubt in my mind of that. When he made the substitution, people said that Nadiri couldn't last 90 minutes, but then the following week he plays the full extra time. So that told me that was a bit of a fib. He can handle that period of time, and I think that was a major boo-boo. It allowed Celtic back in.
Do you think he regrets that?
I am 100% sure he regrets that. I'm not saying that if it was that player, he should have kept another striker up there, whoever it was, because Celtic weren't dealing with it. And it gave Celtic too much domination. I know Hatate came on and obviously changed the game because it gave Celtic that bit of momentum that they never had. And that'll be a regret he has. That will be a regret, because as a manager, I've been there, and all of a sudden you think of certain situations you made, certain decisions you made, and you think, if I had that time again, I wouldn't have done that.
No.
And I'm sure he'd have done that in that particular match, because he had Celtic on the back foot at that particular time.
Mark, 2 games to go until the split, and it looks as though this weekend we'll know for sure if Falkirk are secure in the top 6. They can go ahead and do whatever it is they do, the hot balls, the cold balls, the computer, or I've asked Barry what it's going to be, but
look, I think Falkirk will make the top 6, and what a great story for John McGlynn, his staff, his squad. I mean, genuinely incredible to think they won League One 2-3 years ago, and to go and into the top 6. It's a phenomenal job. And then we'll see what the fixtures bring. Great drama, Paul. I mean, what happens in Paisley this weekend is going to be so significant to how that playoff place shapes up. And then the big game that everyone's going to be thinking about, Celtic Rangers at Celtic Park. For me, that'll be game 3. 5 games after the split, that'll be game 3, either the 9th or 10th of May. I'm
just looking at some of the stuff online here in the Record and the Sun. So Hearts, just looking at them. These are what's going to happen after the split, the last 5 games. So the Hearts, top of the table, they must travel to Celtic. They must host Rangers. They must travel to Hibs, the derby. Things you've been saying there. Hearts will have 2 home games and 3 away games to ensure it's 19-19. Because people say, 19 home, 19 away. They must avoid third visit to Falkirk or Motherwell to play them at home instead. So absolutely fascinating. I'll see if I can find it for the others as well. But Mark, listen, I'm saying what the key one is. Martin O'Neill's side and third, they shouldn't be counted out. This is the straight from the Sun website, but they must host Rangers. They host Hearts as well. They must have 3 home games and 2 away games for this to ensure the 19-19. They must avoid third visit to Hibs, Falkirk or Motherwell to play them at home for the third time instead. Yeah. So
I mean, the thing as well, if you look, I think if you're trying to get into Martin O'Neill inside the Celtic camp, their psyche, their mindset would be, obviously it's an obvious thing, but winning Sunday, just go and beat Dundee, obviously. And then with 6 games to go, do you know what? We've got 4 at home and only 2 away. Rangers need to go to Tynecastle, need to go to Celtic Park. Hearts need to go to Easter Road, need to go to Celtic Park. So it still would be, if all 3 win at the weekend, which Peters thinks is going to happen, and I probably agree, it's still going to be very much advantage Hearts. But Martin O'Neill and Celtic would take comfort in the fact, okay, 18 points up for grabs. We've got 4 games at home, 2 of which against the 2 teams above us.
Incredible, isn't it? And Rangers travel to Celtic, travel to Hearts. 2 home games, 3 away games. They must switch third home clash with either Hibs, Falkirk or Motherwell to visit them away for the third time instead. So confusing if you haven't gone through it before, but we like it, don't we?
But the one thing is, Paul, you look at every one of them.
Yep.
Every one of them is a difficult game for the three
Sure,
teams.
exactly. Yeah.
Every single one. There's not one you could think, oh, well, they'll be delighted at that. There's not one in that top because Falkirk's not been an easy game. Hibs has not been an easy game. Muller's not been an easy game for any of them.
Yep.
You know, so every game has got something on it. That's why I think this weekend is massive. Absolutely massive. Anybody drops points, especially Celtic. If Celtic drop any points, I think it'd be very, very difficult and near impossible.
White flag time, if it was, do you think that would be it?
Yeah, I would hate to say that, but yes.
No, it's not your language.
What's your number, Peter? What's your number that's going to win the league? What's your points number? Bearing in mind Hearts can get to 87. I think 81.
81.
I think 81.
You said that Tuesday night, 81.
It could. It could. And you're looking at it and you're thinking, would you say Hearts with Motherwell, how difficult is that? Celtic with Motherwell, how difficult is that? Rangers with Motherwell, how difficult is that? Then you say Rangers against Celtic, Rangers, all these things, and that's what I'm saying. It's near impossible. Falkirk, who wants to play Falkirk?
Exactly,
All of the games, Hibs and Hearts playing each other. That derby, they don't want, Hibs supporters don't want Hearts to win it. You know, all these things.
David Gray will be saying to his team, we've underperformed here. I mean, the budget they've got there, it's a huge club as well. And you've got your neighbours.
Do you want your neighbours
exactly.
to celebrate when you're getting beaten? You absolutely not.
Do you know what? It could be post-split, 5 games, 15 points up for grabs. Hearts might only take 6 points and still be champions. Might drop 9 points after. Might drop 9 points after the split and still be champions.
Yeah, I'm talking about the games. It could be that, Paul. That's how difficult it is.
See, journalistically, I mean, Mark, but he's good, Pat. He's great at arithmetic.
Thank
Honestly, still time to retrain as the accountant.
Thank God.
Great stuff. Quick break and then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, you can't beat it as we head towards the business end of the season for Rangers. 7 games to go, for Celtic 8, or is it 9 in the Cup? They've got St Mirren, of course, in the semi-final, and we've got Dunfermline up against Falkirk. Wow, I mean, it could be
what a semi,
isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, what a,
aren't they?
Peter Nobody, an ex-Dunfermline manager, and I sat next to Gordon Waddle to Sunday Mail for 20 years, and Gordon's a big Falkirk fan, and the rivalry between Dunfermline and Falkirk is proper. It's not kiddie odds. That is a proper rivalry. What a semi-final that's going to be.
And his brother Bruce was the head honcho, wasn't he, at the Daily Record Sunday Mail?
If you ended up with a final of Celtic and Dunfermline,
of course,
Martin O'Neill, Neil Lennon,
that's right,
who he says was his best ever signing.
Wow.
That would be box office.
What odds would you got that a year ago?
And that was the final. Was that Henrik Larsson's last season?
Do you know, I'd need to double check, but I think Celtic Dunfermline Scottish Cup final was Neil Lennon's last game for Celtic.
Right. Wow. What a story.
2006.
What a story.
2007. I think that might have been his last
I think I'm
game.
right. I'm getting thumbs up from executive producer.
And that was the one he subbed. Gordon Strachan took him off. When he was captain. That was his last ever game for Celtic.
And so he could get the applaud, don't he? Applause.
Well, I don't know if it was the reason.
Oh, right. Tell us more. Read the book. Any more books coming, Mark? Are you,
no. Oh, God. I love doing them, but the thought of sitting down with a black page and having to find 90,000 words. Oh, no.
How did you get the discipline to do it? Did you sort of take... how did it work for you as a writer?
It's... I think I've written 6-7 books. Chris Sutton, Lee McCulloch, Arthur Newman, Stan Petrov, Andy McLaren, and it's a wonderful thing. A wonderful thing at the end of it, because you do. You start with a bit of paper like that, and 6 months later, you try and the players need a lot of discipline as well, and they need to be open, and they need to open up, and they need to tell you things. But listen, it's great, but it's very tedious.
Peter, who did your book?
No, I've getting asked about books, Paul, but I wouldn't do it because you've got to tell the truth. And I think there's a lot of things that happened in dressing rooms should stay there, even if it's managers you didn't like, or arguments you had with players or whatever. I think there's certain things I think should stay stone. But I've no problem with guys writing books at all, but it's not for me.
Okay, if they gave you £1 million signing
absolutely not. No, because I think
$100,000.
No, but I've always said it. Mark used to say, people tell you in a dressing room, it's sacred, and I always felt that. And I think if you want to be honest, fine, but it hurts too many people for me. That's me. That was my personal opinion on it, and I'd been asked many, many times to do one, and that was the reason I wouldn't, because there's some things you would say would hurt certain people, and I that's just not my gig.
It's funny, I always think you'd be the kind of guy that you're either all in or nothing. You wouldn't do it half-hearted, I get that. But it's the guys, the different guys that I worked with doing them, and they all agonised over different things.
Yeah,
they
I can imagine.
Agonised over different... a lot of the times the point you come, even someone agonised over what 40s were getting in, but and they needed their wife's approval. But the thing what I used to say to them, Paul, journalistically, I'd say, look, there's no point in putting 6 months to a year's graft in and it goes on the shelf, and for the sake of one sentence you regret it.
Yes, of course.
So I always used to say to them, if in doubt, take it out.
Take it out.
Because you'll interview and then they see it in black and white. You're just like, oh God, I'm being hard on him, or I'm really, and you think, look, if in doubt, take it out. There's no point. There's no.
And that's
point.
what I mean. That's exactly the point I'm making, Mark. It's not all honesty.
No.
You know, certain bits you don't want out, or they tell you to take out because you can't put that because this and that.
Well, look at your insight. You could be talking about the coaching, your management. You're at West Ham United. Excuse me, assistant and manager at Norwich City. Your time at Bournemouth. Your time at Fulham. You worked with Matt O'Reilly, for example, and many others. Jack Butland. Your time at Birmingham City with Alec McLeish.
Oh no, Paul. Honestly, there's enough there.
I think you
Hey,
should.
there's enough at my time at Celtic as a player. Never mind anything else.
But you said you won't do it.
No, but that's what I'm saying. There's enough at Celtic.
Management, is that not a bit different?
But no, because because you've been critical of maybe certain players or certain situations, and
But you would do it
I'm
for-
very clear.
yeah,
I'm very
okay.
clear on
Yeah.
that. You know, in the respect to that, because at the end of the day, but you've said you've had an opinion, and Mark will tell you, I'm very much opinionated in that respect. But I feel as if people would say, well, you better not put that in.
Okay.
Or somebody's
Yeah.
maybe looking at that and you'll not be allowed that. That's me. That means it's not been honest then.
Somebody who was on last night, Aidan McGeady, and I asked him, biggest influence in football? And he said it was one of your closest friends,
The great
Tommy Burns.
Yeah, I was done something. I done a question and answer with Martin Aidan recently in Gordon, and he said that, and I had no surprise on that. You know, he's a big influence on you, especially young players when back to youth level. Maybe Tommy, and Rosemary, God rest her, couldn't get him home. He'd be 9 o'clock at night, and Tommy'd still be up there for whatever age level, to the last ones, the youngest to the oldest, and he just won. He loved Celtic Football Club, but he loved young players getting an opportunity. He would be disappointed now with the amount of people are standing at the side of the pitch. You know, because he thinks the game's for playing, as we all do. And some people are comfortable now, and that's a problem. But I'm no surprised that Aidan said that about him, because I think that group of players was the first time that Tommy was really the youth coach. And he spent a lot of time with them individually. And also he had that knack, knowing what Celtic's about, how you represent it on and off the pitch.
And funny, that's what Aidan says now when he speaks about Tommy Burns. What he'll say now is, I don't know if I didn't hear the show, what he said, but what he said is Celtic, they're missing a Tommy Burns at the moment. At Lennoxtown. At that level, they're missing a Tommy Burns.
It was great to hear. And final question, Billy's been on saying, Arthur Newman, what was it like to do his book? Because he's one of Billy and many Rangers fans' all-time favourite players.
I have to say, Paul, all the people that they've met and interviewed and got to know, and you build some really lovely relationships over the years, being in journalism. But Arthur Newman's one of my favourite people, an absolute gentleman. Big Alec McLeish loves him as well. Had him as your scout.
He's a fantastic boy. I know Arthur well. Got to know him away from the football.
He's brilliant, so generous. It's the same way with everybody, whether you're a footballer, whether you're a prime minister, whether you're a millionaire, whether you get 2 bob. He's the same way with everybody.
And loves Scotland, Mark.
Great company.
Scotland.
What a footballer! I mean, what a player! And you think playing in World Cup semi-finals for Holland, 45 cap, and a team he's playing with Van Bastens and Overmars and Bergkamps and Van der Sars and De Boers. Anyway, he was great. Went over and had a great pleasure of meeting his mum and dad. His dad recently passed away, but a lovely family from a wee town in the outskirts of Amsterdam called Beverwijk. And Beverwijk has produced Arthur, Rafa van der Vaart, Mark Overmars, and Michel Dosberg. A wee village in Holland have produced all those top players.
And did you say you did the Chris Sutton as well?
Yes.
Wow. Did you just miss out on Henrik? Who did Henrik's book?
He did do one. I can't remember. I can't remember
Moses.
who it was.
All those excellent books are available, and we'll take a commission here at Go Radio. That's not a plug for Ofcom, I can assure you. It's great. We love chatting the football. Ross was on last night from LA, and it's International Week. And listen, we love Scotland. We can't wait for the World Cup. We'll maybe see you there, Ross. But he's enjoying the chat. He loves to hear behind the scenes, the things that you're saying there, Peter. Why don't you talk about it? And the way that it's informed. We've had lots of messages tonight. Enjoying the chat and during this International Week as well. And it all comes from a good place. It's the experience that you've both got and all our contributors have. And people are honest. We've got no agenda here. Listen, we're a Glasgow station. We'd love the West to do well. But do you know what? If Hearts do it, there's Derek McInnes, a West of Scotland boy.
Yeah.
Listen, anyone's whatever. We're not.
Yeah.
We're
So's
not
Lord
small-minded. Exactly.
Yeah.
On the programme with me a couple of years ago, I said that Glasgow boy, contracts up, and if Barry, our own Barry, had been the manager, he would be the Rangers striker at the moment.
But whoever wins a league, Paul, deserves to win the league.
Absolutely.
So let's cut that. Whoever wins it deserves to win it, and you've got to tip your hat to him because it's a very, very difficult thing to do over a season.
80 seconds left. Partick Thistle going to do it this weekend at Ayr United. Just a yes or no?
Yeah, John Rankin in.
Yes.
Yeah, 2-1
The
Thistle.
Jags. What do you think?
Yeah, I hope Mark keeps it going.
Yeah.
Because he's done a fantastic job there. Simo Valakari, similar, but Mark's been phenomenal. Especially the bounce back, as I say, for the first game against St Johnstone at the start of the season.
And I think you said you're going for the big three, both of you. No shocks at the top.
No shocks at the top for me.
Yeah, I think if one is to drop points, because only in 3 occasions have all 3 won this season in the same weekend, it'll be Hearts that'll drop points for me. If one of them's to do it, but I fancy the 3 to win.
Wow. Motherwell to beat Falkirk, or sorry, who's going to win it?
Draw.
A draw. St Mirren Aberdeen.
I've went for Aberdeen to win 2-1.
St Mirren 1-0.
Okay. Hibs Kilmarnock.
Hibs.
Draw.
A draw. Listen, thank you so much. That flew in tonight. Other headline is that Jack Ross has been considered as the Chief Football Officer at the SFA. So we'll maybe talk more about that tomorrow night. He, of course, has been head of football strategy at Newcastle United. He's got a great football brain, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Not a very good football man, Jack. And not surprising if Mike Mulroney's there. Jack was one of his first
Alloa.
managers at Alloa.
As you were as well, Alloa Athletic. Thanks so much.
Pleasure, Paul.
Guys, see you next week.
Have a nice weekend.
Look forward to it.
Have a lovely Easter.
Have a great Easter. Take care, everyone. Tomorrow night, remember, it's Big Kevin Kyle and Big Darren Adee tomorrow night at 5.